From the beginning of time, media and entertainment have influenced how we think, both about society as a whole and about ourselves. And there's one media trope in particular that for a long time had a complete vice grip over films and TV. Love. As of recent, I've been rewatching How I Met Your Mother, a show that I've watched since the time I was a kid. This show, in many ways, is my comfort show. Whenever I'm feeling down, I can put it on and be brought to a place of blissful relaxation. However, on rewatch, I've noticed a lot of things about the show. Things that exist throughout various shows and films that I don't think have a healthy, positive influence on the way we look at love and relationships in our society. The characters we see, Ted, Robin, Barney, Marshall, and Lily, their entire lives, their entire existence, their value as human beings is built nearly entirely on their intimate relationships. Sure, they have jobs, they have other friends, but all of them define themselves through the lens of dating and romance. This complete over-reliance on love and romance constantly brings them anguish, pain, and resentment, with very brief moments of lustful joy in between. And this goes especially for Ted, who is so ingrained in the idea that the meaning of life is to have a family that he goes to excessively toxic, manipulative lengths to find a relationship, and will often entirely change his goals, ambitions, and wants in life to fit the needs of the girl he's in lust with. Take the time he lied to his friend in an attempt to cheat on his girlfriend. The time he threw 3 consecutive parties, to the detriment of his flatmate and best friend, just to see a woman who had already rejected him. The time he proposed to a mother 6 months after meeting her in a desperate attempt to get back together. The time he nearly gave up his lifelong dream and the career of his best friend for a woman he stole from a married man. The list goes on and on. This obsessive, sometimes sociopathic romance of Ted is a core part of his character and is often played off as a joke. But then you have someone like Robin, a character that's built up to be a strong, independent, career-focused woman. Despite the show telling us this, however, Robin consistently falls for seemingly every single man that walks into her life. Whether it's Barney, Ted, her co-workers, her fucking therapist. Robin, in the exact same way as Ted, is maniacally obsessed with the idea of love and romance to fill a clear void in her life. She desperately craves to be reliant on another person up until something goes wrong and she moves on to the next. Maybe the show's trying to make a statement about how important having a significant other you can rely on is, but to me, it's the same excessive, over-the-top, manufactured drama that so many shows at the time derived from romance. And it's the exact thing that led to years of media and entertainment that fed us this pipe dream of the perfect individual. A soulmate who will always provide excessive romance, who will never once show weakness, struggle, or doubt, and if they do, it shows that they're not the one. This was a pervasively toxic message that rom-coms and love films pushed for decades, and although it's not present in all of them, there are various aspects that crop up in so many things. Love Actually, for example, a film that presents intimacy really well for the most part, has a scene where Mark gives a huge written speech to his best friend's wife about how he's loved her for years, despite consistently showing her nothing but vitriol. And that's not to mention the thousands of terrible rom-coms that push this idea of a romantic savior, a conventionally attractive man or woman who barely has anything in common with you, who will whisk you away from the tedium of life and take you on endless adventures, a concept which sounds great but in reality is a recipe for a long-term disaster. And this trope also warps the way in which men look at women and women look at men, and if I'm honest, I think this media has been hugely responsible for the rise in incel culture and general misogyny online. Because these films create ideals, the perfect woman and the perfect man, and then create standards which not only are unrealistic to live up to, but also simply would not end in a functioning relationship. When some teenage dude sees a man in a film show up in a woman's life and do nothing except be hot and mysterious, it creates this illusion that that is how the world of dating works. That for simply being attractive, you're somehow owed something from a woman. Either that, or you see it, realize you're not conventionally attractive, and lose all hope. But the fact of the matter is, that is not how human relationships work. Sure, maybe if you want a one-night stand, being hot is enough, but what these films and shows never display is the level of emotional work you have to do to build emotional intelligence, to be able to connect with someone on a truly personal level, to be there for them in times of need, to communicate well through disagreements and struggles, to entertain each other, and to provide emotional and spiritual support to one another. Relationships take work, and this work is something that these pieces of entertainment never display. And the problem is, for many people, these films and shows make up a massive amount of their education surrounding relationships. As well as that, these rom-coms are obsessed with the idea of huge romantic gestures and over-the-top, somewhat obsessive actions, which again are an unhealthy way to approach any kind of relationship, as they put a massive amount of pressure on the person they're for and oftentimes can drive them away. Obviously, this isn't applicable all the time. It's different if you're, say, proposing, but we're talking about just starting relationships here. These behaviors can be toxic and at times obsessive, and simply aren't a healthy foundation for a sustainable relationship to be built. Oh, and I'd be remiss to mention that plenty of companies profit a lot off of these big romantic gestures that are shown in movies and TV. I mean, Valentine's Day makes $21 billion a year for a reason. Another thing that's lacking from these representations is the element of luck, which is so vital in finding a partner that that you can stay with for long periods of time. Whilst in these shows, characters jump in and out of relationships immediately, in reality it's hugely rare for you to find someone that you're attracted to, that's attracted to you, that shares your traits, your hobbies, your beliefs, your sense of humor, that you can feel comfortable being honest with, and that's in a place in their life in which they're ready for a relationship. All of this is thrown out the window in so many of these films and shows, replaced with vapid, shallow depictions of love that provide quick rushes of lust-filled dopamine and nothing more. I do believe our media's representation of love and intimacy is maturing and deepening in recent years, but I do still think that there's a lot of remnants of the 90s and 2000s obsession with artificial store-bought love that we still need to get rid of in our society. But as always, that is just my opinion, and if you disagree, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you enjoyed the video, it would really help me out and really be appreciated if you could hit like. Okay, that's going to be annoying. And if you're new here and want to see plenty more content like this, make sure to subscribe with post notifications turned on. Patreon links are in the description if you want to support the channel. And with all that being said, I've been Joe, aka Founder Scarab, and I will see you in the next one.